Good morning, everyone. It's me. I'm gonna kind of go through my story a little bit fast because I want to talk about some other stuff. But anyway, so I started shooting up with my boyfriend, and he had issues staying sober with other things, and so he had to go do like 60 days in jail here, 60 days in jail there, um, and then he had to go to rehab, and he left rehab, and then he had to go to another one, and they wouldn't accept him, and so he ended up being resentenced, and it was like, I think he told me it was a year, but it was a year and a half, and and I was living at his house while he was there. And the thing is, though, I went to a friend's house like every night because I didn't want to be there alone. I went to a friend's house like every night, slept there, and would go home in the morning and watch the baby, and then go back when I was over. So um, my friend Sally, will say, who only drank, started seeing this guy, and then they started shooting up, and so um, we did that for like the next year, and he would make it and then give us all our things, and um what I didn't realize at the time was he was taking all of it. So like for the whole year, like I never felt high or anything. I thought, well, I guess it just doesn't work on me, but we were just in the habit of doing it. So um but he would take it for himself. so so for like a year I didn't ever get high. So anyway, I'm off probation at this point, and so um a year later her boyfriend's mother dies, and that's in Florida, and we go to the buyer ourselves, and we buy it, and we mix it for ourselves, and we make it. And it was the first time I felt it, and I was like, whoa. I was like, wow. I I just, I couldn't even believe it. And it was not very long after that I decided to stop shooting up altogether because I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. Um, once I realized like what it really is like. So um, I stopped doing that, and the friends that I was hanging out with, they lost they lost their house, and then um, I was staying in my boyfriend's house, and his brother was raising his son, and they needed a house to stay in, and my boyfriend always said no, and I told him that it's the right thing to do. They're raising your son. Like, I don't even stay here. Like, I need to give them this house. And so I did. And then I went and I stayed with my friends. And uh, so um, it came time for my boyfriend to get out of jail. And it wasn't time. He lied to me. It was like another half a year. And I was like, that's it. Like, I've been faithful to you. I've waited. This has been going on and off, on and off. And there was like somebody I had interested in. I was just like, that's it. That's it. So I stopped seeing him, and started seeing this other guy. And um, uh, I gave him like $600 to hold on to, and it was for the rent to pay for where everybody was staying, where we were all staying, because they knew nobody else would have it. So I asked him for it back, and he didn't have it. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't have it? So we drove up there, and I was like, I need that. And he only gave me like 300 back. And so now we're all staying in a place like where nobody's paying the rent. And um, I don't know what happens, but I forget. But anyway, I got thrown out for some reason. I don't remember why. Because they were still doing everything they did, and there was more people that came into the circle and stuff like that. But anyway, this guy I was seeing, I went with him to the house he was staying in, and um, there was this woman, we'll call her Wendy, and she let people stay there that didn't have anywhere to go. And so she let me stay there, which I was very grateful for. And I hadn't done shooting up everything, and I didn't smoke it because and I was only doing meth and weed. Oh, that was the reason, because they started to deal heroin, and I would not do that. I had a boundary, and I just didn't want to be around it. I didn't want anything to do with it. And they were putting fentanyl and everything, and I was like, no, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. So the only thing at that point, I mean, that's all I ever did was meth, and that was given to me in California, and I went back on it, and marijuana. So anyway, and I never smoked it either because I didn't like the kind of high I gave you. It like left you kind of foggy, and then the reason I wanted it was to be up. So so anyway, so I just started snorting it, and I got down to where I was like snorting 2 lines a day, I guess. And the boyfriend I had at the time started going crazy. He started losing his mind, and he drank with it, and I think he had wet brain. And I still didn't drink at this point, so like I hadn't drank since I was like 38, and I'm like 40, I don't know, 6 at this point, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so he started losing his mind. He was like, people are in the tree. I woke up one night, he was spraying alcohol all over my face because he said I had bugs all over it. Every night he would take all of the furniture out of the room and clean it and everything and put all of it back in because he was saying there was bugs everywhere, worms. And so he just lost his mind, and he ended up having a 3-county chase with the cops. And I guess he had like a good amount of meth in his trunk. So he went to jail, and I started seeing this other guy, and then he went to jail as well because he was released to the halfway house place when he got out of jail, and he left because of COVID. So they sent him back because he left the place, the halfway house place that he was supposed to finish his sentence or whatever. And so anyway, I stayed there for a while, and then I got a room at a really nice hotel that a friend of mine I went to school with, he rented rooms as well as it was a hotel too. And so I was super excited and staying there, and then we got thrown out, and some people stole my mom's stuff, and it was just this weird thing. And this guy that had this girlfriend that I knew for probably I want to say like maybe a year. They supposedly broke up, and he kept texting me because he was lonely and he was upset, and so he kept texting me, and I at this point was seeing the boyfriend that went to jail to begin with. he was staying at the hotel with me, and then he dumped me to get back at me, of course, and I probably deserved it, but anyway, so this guy that was in this relationship with this girl was like, come over here, like come stay in this house. I have a place for you. And I really didn't know what else to do, so I went ahead and went and I stayed there, um and it was just him and myself and my friend from childhood, and it was just the three of us. And then these other people started moving in, and it started to get very like the the guy that I was going out with then, that Gabe told me to go to the house, was like, he was starting to get violent at night, but he was going around telling everybody that I was abusing him. And I found that out because some guy sent me a picture saying, "Oh, Steven said you did this to him," and I was like, "Oh, I meant Scott said you did this to him," and I was like, "I didn't do that to Scott. What is he talking about?" He's saying, "Well, he's telling everybody you abuse him." And I was like, "What?" So I didn't know what was going on, and all these people started coming in, and everything weird was happening, and um like they were just really playing with my mind a lot, and just, I don't even know how to say it anyway. It was for a long term, like they took my key and locked the house, and thank God I had another one, but it was just things like that. And then I knew he was sleeping with somebody else. I couldn't prove it because I don't know why, but I couldn't stay awake. I was only doing two little lines a day, but still, like, I couldn't stay awake at night, and um which shouldn't have been, but I knew this stuff was going on at night, and I just couldn't figure it out. And there was a couple of times that I left, but I always came back because I knew I had to see this through. I had to see it through. And then I noticed they started shooting me up at night, and I knew that because the one time I woke up and I was like hitting walls, um and I didn't do anything like that. So I was just like, what are you hitting me with? Um and and anyway, they tried to kill me a couple times, and I didn't know, but I just woke up different, and of course I knew there was cameras in there and stuff, and then they came and robbed me, and just all this stuff, and in California they couldn't kill me, and then here they couldn't kill me, and I didn't have any proof of anything, but I knew it was happening. And I even said to one of my sisters, like, they're shooting me up at night, and I sounded crazy, because that's part of the process, like, you know you sound crazy. So um and then one night, oh, I put a PFA on him, and then I canceled it and just said it was nothing, and then he put a PFA on me, but he had been doing it the whole entire time, like the whole 2 years. And he he basically, he was still spending the time with me even though I had this PFA on me. And so the one night he went in and told the other people, like, the one guy was on probation, to leave because he was going to call the cops. And I'm like, what's going on? And um and the one girl, I'll say Cheryl, texted me and said, look, he's calling the cops, and he said that there's meth in the room. And I'm like, I just don't care. I'm just exhausted with everything. I just don't even care. And she's like, no, we have to find it. I was like, I don't care. I don't care what he did, you know? I was just, anyway, so she found it and put it in a tea can in the kitchen, which nobody ever would have found. So anyway, the cops came and I had every reason to be there because I was on a lease and I was paying rent. I was the only one paying rent, and I would take care of the landlord as well. And because I just always felt like it was the right thing. So anyway, they were like, we can't do anything to her, and they couldn't find anything. So I'm sorry. But then I had texted her back. I texted Cheryl back after she told me that, and I said, I just don't care. And he's just a piece of shit they kind of like that. And so she showed the cop that, and that was third party interaction. So they took me for the PFA violation. They were putting me in the car. Well, the other cop said, well, I'm going to go back in and check on everything and just make sure everything's okay. Well, then he comes out with meth, and he's like, oh, so you had meth at Mary Jo? And I was like, no, I didn't. And he said, well, I found it in your room. I said, yeah, that's funny. So anyway, he put a drug charge on me, and he put a drug charge on me because he didn't want me to get housing. Because their original plan was to make me homeless. And I figured that out later. Because the house was getting ready to be repossessed, and I really didn't even know that's what they were doing after they couldn't get rid of me. But I started saying, like, I need to get out of here. And I talked to a childhood friend that lived in North Carolina, and she said, just come here. And I did. Someone picked me up like the next day, and well, actually it was for Friday. And then I was like, no, I just don't feel like I should wait for Friday. And so a friend came and got me the next day, and I was on a bus, and I was on my way to North Carolina. And the thing was that happened the next day after that was the cops came and boarded up the house. So I would have been homeless. Like, that's what their point was at that point. And again, it was my intuition. It was God. Like, he got me through everything. And so God got us. And so anyway, when I went to North Carolina, and he would call me every day, and we would talk, and I knew this wasn't finished yet. I just knew it wasn't. And so I went back and I stayed with him at his house with his parents. And I'm sorry, I forgot. I had stopped doing meth at that point when he had called the cop on me. I stopped doing it altogether. And so I've been sober off that for quite a few years. And then I was just smoking weed. So, and I had my cards, so it was legal. But anyway, what happened was my daughter, I knew there was women coming in the middle of the night. And again, I couldn't stay awake. And like, I would see them like in his mother's car being driven away in the morning, and be like, okay, like, come on, you know? And it was the other girlfriend. Like, they never broke up, and I didn't realize any of this. But anyway, I hadn't seen my daughter in 12 years, and the stepmother threw my son out at 17 in high school. and because he wasn't taking care of his cat, and she was pregnant. And I was livid. There was nothing I can do. I didn't have any money. I didn't, have any. He didn't want to leave anyway. And so I talked to a mom out there, and she agreed to let him stay at least so he can finish his senior year and graduate. So that's what he did. And then he had nowhere to go, so he went into the Navy, and then he stopped talking to me again because he was back with his, talking to his dad. He wasn't out at the house ever again, and he didn't talk to his stepmother, but he talked to his dad and his brother and then so at 12, she went ahead and did the same thing with my daughter. She threw her out. And I didn't know any of this because I had no contact. And so my second son, the one that went to the Navy, when he got out of the Navy, he started talking to me again, and which was great. So he got with my sister, my oldest sister, who never was able to have children of her own, and she agreed to take my daughter in and raise her. So my ex-husband and them arranged all that and did all that, and like nobody told me, and until she was there, and I was like, oh my God, like I was so ill prepared, like to see her, because I was still in that whole mess of people that were just hurting me terribly and stuff. And I was just not prepared for her. And so she came and she stayed at the house the one night, and I didn't drink or do weed that day or anything because I wanted to be in my right mind with her, and I fell asleep. I fell asleep almost the whole night. And I mean, I had to have been drugged. I don't know. But anyway, she called my sister in the middle of the night and wanted to go home, and that's when I got up and I went downstairs on the porch with her, and she's like, "Oh," and he put his hand on my butt. And so then, like the next day, they were in town for a memorial for my grandfather, and the next day she was riding home with my sister, and she was just screaming at Scott, my boyfriend, that like he's a molester, he's this and he's that, and yada yada yada. And I mean, I really didn't think anything happened, but I knew why she was doing it. She wanted me away from him because she didn't like the way he treated me. And I'm so grateful to her now for doing that. So it was over the summer, and she went into a mental health facility for the summer, and I asked my sister, can I come and help raise her and take responsibility for her? And she said yes. So she got out, and she didn't want to stay here. She wanted to go back to California. So my ex got a camper and stays in the camper with her, and then goes back to the house like during the day, and is with the other family. And I just felt like she was alone way too much. But anyway, my ex, the night I fell asleep at Scott, the boyfriend's house, she got my vape pen and she was smoking it. And I guess he gave her alcohol. So my ex found out about it. So I was not allowed to talk to her again. So she went back to California, and I couldn't talk to her. And anyway, I stayed because I wanted to wait and see if maybe she was going to come back or something. And I changed my whole life. I quit smoking cigarettes. I quit smoking weed. And my sister's house is like a sanctuary. It's so healing. She's such a spiritual person. and instead of my my energy going back slowly up, it went back to like where it was in like 2007 when I was doing me and my JC, and I was explaining about frequencies when nobody knew about them. And so from there it just kept growing, and I went to counseling, and so I became this completely different other person. And so he kept in touch with my sister, and I wrote him a text just telling him, like, you know, I'm really sorry, and I wasn't prepared for her, and I appreciate what she did, and I got away from him. I've been away from him, and you know, I've been in counseling, and I quit smoking, and I quit smoking weed. And so anyway, he and her talked, and she was like, well, Dad, can I have her back in my life? And um her father said yes, so she may be coming for the summer. I'm really excited about that. But anyway, that's that. And that brings us to today. And here's why I kind of went through that story real fast, because I'm I'm a little nervous. I have a lot of anxiety because I feel like people are congratulating me on threads for like a billion views. It only says I have like 2,000 followers, but maybe they're talking to somebody else, but it keeps saying commented on your photo, and when I go in there, it's me, it's to me. And I don't know where this billions of views went. And then this other one guy who I listen to, he has a channel on Chosen Ones, and he keeps saying that, you know, that like it was confirmed my bloodline is royalty, um and you know, and he knows the story behind everything that happened. He knows I was poisoned. He knows they tried to kill me in California because they had cameras on me, and I was like a real life Truman Show, and it was on the dark web. And I guess somebody realized it was there and bought it, pretty much all of it, to take off, which I'm very grateful for. But so anyway, I don't know. I just have this terrible anxiety, like something's going on and I don't know what. And I don't, can you guys please give me some kind of feedback? Like, is that billions of followers for me? And like, why? What is going on? If anybody could just like tell me in some kind of platform, in some kind of comments, I would really appreciate it. And I know I'm way over, but I apologize. Okay, I love you all. Bye.